Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television, coming to you live from Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. More than 100 women detained by police in Owerri over IPOB-related protests regained their freedom after 4 days in prison following order by the State High Court. Police begin overhaul of the Federal Special Anti-Robbery Squad as the End SARS campaign group announces end to crusade. Temporary closure of the 3rd Mainland Bridge in Lagos takes effect as 4-day investigative repair work commences. And Zimbabwe's court affirms President Emerson Mnangagwa's election victory, dismisses opposition challenge of the July 30th poll. ChannelsTV.com has more information for you, and on youtube.com/channelsweb you can watch our videos. You can also watch us on your mobile device via your browser or download the Channels TV app for Android, iOS and Windows devices from their respective stores. Besides giving you access to news updates on the go, the Channels TV and Channels 24 app has an eyewitness feature that you can use to share pictures, videos or news of happenings around you. Just install the app, then tap and swipe to reveal the menu and follow the instructions. The Benue State Governor Samuel Ortom has raised an alarm over an alleged plan by armed bandits to abduct and kill him. The governor said this during an interactive session with stakeholders on the peaceful conduct of the 2019 elections organized by the Makurdi Catholic Diocese in the Benue State capital. Governor Ortom explained that he received information that there were plans to attack his convoy on his way to Abuja, kill his security personnel, and thereafter kidnap and torture him to death. While blaming the threat and the insecurity in the state on the inability of the government to arrest and prosecute those behind the attacks in Benue State, Governor Ortom said his offence is daring to speak out over the invasion of communities and the massive killings. He said that following the information, he resorted to using chartered flights to Abuja, but that such flights have been stopped from landing at the Makurdi airport. Well, commuters seem to be the ones bearing the brunt of the ongoing maintenance tests on the 3rd Mainland Bridge here in Lagos as they frown on the rigour they face going in and out of Lagos Island. Since the closure last night, traffic on the usually very busy road is being managed cautiously by several agencies. Our correspondent Kayode Ukiolu has been monitoring the development and he tells us more.
What they're looking for is pretty simple. Let me just try to put it in the simplest term. This bridge is made up of a lot of expansion joints, okay? If you drive through this bridge, you'll notice at some point you drive over something that sounds like a speed breaker. I'm sure you will notice those are the expansion joints. Now, every expansion joint on this 3rd Mainland Bridge is spaced between about 45 meters to 60 meters apart. So they are going through each of these expansion joints to see the level of tolerance. They just want to know if the expansion joint is good enough to carry weight or not. If it is good enough, great. If it is not good enough, then they will have to work on it. So they'll have to do this for every expansion joint. But I understand that since some maintenance work was carried out a few years ago, some of those expansion joints are good to go. So they might skip those ones and focus on the ones that were not worked on during the last maintenance work. So this is just a maintenance test. It is not proper maintenance. This will determine the kind of maintenance they will carry on eventually.
All the data are going to go back to Rome. The consultant that has been entrusted with this job is Isrecon Nigeria Limited, but the headquarters is in Rome. They will run through all the data that have been acquired, and then I would say that in a matter of about 15 days or 20 days, we should be able to have the result. That result then will guide us as to what to do, the number of joint, the location. From the number of joint, we will be able to determine what is the requirement, and then all this has to be then ordered overseas, manufactured, shipped, brought down here, and then we will have to initiate a process like we've done in 2008 and 2012 of using an hydro demolisher to be able to remove the worn out steel parts.
The alternative routes, as you'll expect, are a bit jam-packed, if I can use that term. It is just the first day, so a lot of people are apprehensive.
I've stayed here for well over 2 hours. No bus to go back to where I'm coming from. You know, they didn't make any proper arrangement for this.
I've been in the queue waiting for BRT. There is no bus.
It took me 2 hours from Bega to Akiadeshola. I drove for 2 hours. Well, it was like an adventure. I tried to enjoy the journey.
So this is the situation right now. A lot of people are going through this, what the government calls a necessary inconvenience. So the Third Mainland Bridge can be checked, can be tested to see what kind of maintenance should be carried out. 2 days to go right now, and a lot of people look forward to it. But this is Lagos, and people thrive in whatever situation they are in. So from this route that leads to Carter Bridge and the Third Mainland Bridge, I am Kayode Okikiolu reporting for Channels Television News.
And before the closure of the bridge last night, Channels Television monitored how workers and equipment were deployed to the bridge for the assessment work to begin. Our correspondent, Olu Phillips, was there.
Vehicles making a last-minute rush to beat the midnight hour deadline. As we travel through the bridge, our cameras caught a glimpse of the medians that will be used as they are transported to the Newbury end of the Third Mainland Bridge. On this side also are several agencies of government standing by, waiting for the tick of the clock. Midnight is the show time. One after the other, concrete barriers are put in place, signaling the blockade. The Minister of Power, Works and Housing also petitioned some sleep to come around and run a professional eye on what is happening here. The diversions have taken effect at all ends and ramps connecting the bridge, but what's more to know?
We need to get to know the state of some of these expansion joints on this Third Mainland Bridge. You see, some are still in good conditions, but some are not really in good. Some require replacement. And apart from these expansion joints, this maintenance work will still go beyond that. We are still going to check, going into the ground, into the water. We are still going to check the state of the piers and the pie caps. And you know, for some of them that are having issues, we shall endeavor to repair them.
Please, we don't want people to go against the traffic law. We have plain policemen that are around to handle issue of traffic robbery. And we also have LASMA, Federal Road Safety, Neighborhood Watch, Civil Defense, and the Nigerian Police. All are available here. You've seen them to ensure that we have free flow of traffic and diversion is in progress.
If you're coming back from the island, say you're driving all the way from, Obalende, you're coming from CMS, you're coming from Kingsway Road, as soon as you hit this junction, you'd be advised by some of the signs you see here to turn to the right, and that takes you all the way to Carter Bridge. And you climb Carter Bridge, there'll be two options. Either you go to the right to Ido Terminus and find your way through Harvard Macaulay and all the way to Yaba and all of that, or you keep straight Ijara, you hit Funshaw Williams, you hit Ikorodu Road again, by Fadeyi and all of that. But once you get to this junction, you will be diverted to the right, and this will be the practice for over the next 3 days from the Newbury end of the Third Mainland Bridge. Olu Phillips reporting for Channels Television News.
Let's leave Lagos for a bit and cross over to Abuja. Here's Makwe Ogun Yusuf. Hey, Makwe.
Hello, Ijeoma. We're starting from the northwest of the country. Several houses in some parts of Kaduna metropolis in Kaduna State have been submerged by floods as a result of a heavy rainfall. The incident has forced many residents out of their homes to seek shelter in makeshift camps. The flood resulted from long hours of a heavy downpour, which started on Thursday night and lasted through this morning. Officials of the National Emergency Management Agency blamed the flooding on drainages being blocked with refuse and people building structures along water channels.
Pt.2 is one of the areas worst hit by the flood, which has forced many families out of their homes. The victims are now taking refuge at this government primary school.
You can see the people at the other side. They cannot cross. Those that are doing their businesses in the town and in Sabo area, they couldn't pass to the other side. Some pass their night here. And some of the affected houses, they couldn't sleep yesterday.
It's very unfortunate that this is happening a second time. If you can see by the road, the previous government actually wanted to do this road because we have issue of drainages here. And you can see by the side of the road, they were planned for proper drainage that would drain this water out of this environment. But when the new government came in, they abandoned the road, just like your Karaman captured the other sides of those erosions on the road. So it's a continuous persistent problem, and we are calling on the government to come to our assistance because property has been lost virtually every year.
The National Emergency Management Agency places the blame squarely on human acts of negligence and infrastructural irresponsibility, which has resulted in blocked drains and water channels.
In this environment, typically you realize that most of the waterways have been blocked due to refuse dumping and whatnot. This location, you can see what it looks like, and all this man-made works have contributed into this flooding experience.
But the stricken residents are asking government to provide them with alternative land where they can relocate.
I want the government to assist the community for the people that are having houses nearby the river, or to provide a land for them whereby when they located the land for them where they will build with their money.
Flooding has become an annual occurrence in most parts of Kaduna State during the rainy season, resulting in loss of lives, homes and farmlands. As the rains persist, residents of flood-prone areas would have to relocate to higher ground to avoid further disaster.
When the news at 10 returns, the Central Bank of Nigeria clarifies its guidelines for lending to the real sector, says projects would require a rigorous funding process. That's on Business News. Do join us again.